In this last part of the day and night cycle tutorial series, we will add dynamic lights that turn off or on based on the time of day. So lights turn on during the night and turn off during the day. This takes into account the sun position changes that our day and night cycle has. It also turns on lights in materials if you wanted to do that for the windows or stuff like that. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so before we can make lights turn on and off dynamically, we need to know when they should turn on or off. So to do that, we're going to open up our content browser, go to our BP day night cycle, and then here on begin play, we're going to get all the lights in our level, and then when we want to change them, we'll iterate through the array of all the lights in the level and change the settings on them. Now, how do we know what are lights in the level? Because if we iterate through every actor in the level, we're going to waste so much processing time when we could save a bit and only change the light settings. So how do we know if something is light? Well, it's pretty easy. If we drag off begin play here, we're going to type get actor of class, and there's class with tag. Actually, let's go type in get actor interface. So we're going to use this node called get actor all actors with interface. We'll add that, and what this will do is it will get every single actor in the level with a blueprint interface. Now that's convenient because blueprint interfaces are a lot easier to work with. So all we have to do is we need to make a blueprint interface specifically for lights. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to just press autosave, save now, and we're just going to go ahead and open up our content browser, right click and go to blueprint, go to blueprint interface. We're going to call this BPI underscore is light. Okay, you can also change this to is dynamic light if you want to, but it doesn't really matter. We're going to go ahead and open it up, and we're going to go ahead and dock it as well. We're going to right click and delete this new function over here. I've noticed a few problems if you use that one for some reason. We're going to go to top left under my blueprint and click add, click on add new function. We're going to call this turn on / off lights. So what this will do is it will practically go ahead and tell Unreal Engine to turn on or off the lights. Now, notice how I said on or off. So we're probably going to have to add a Boolean input so that we can easily set it through this and we don't need separate functions. So let's go to the bottom right under details panel. We're going to click on this plus button next to the input. Then it starts off as a bool if it didn't just set this to a bool. And we're going to call this let me think. We're going to tell this turn lights on with a question mark. So if this is yes, then we should turn the lights on. If this is false, we should turn the lights off. We can go ahead and compile and save. And now what we can do is we can go back to our BP day night cycle, so here in the top, and all we have to do is at this gets all actors with interface, we just under interface click on select class and type in BPI underscore is light. So now this will return every actor that is a light. So we're going to go ahead and drag off this out actors and promote to a variable, and we're going to call this all lights in level. So this will return every single light in a level and store it in this array. We're just going to go ahead and move these along so we have space. Connect this get all actors with interface to this array set, and then connect this back to the set play rate. We're also going to just expand the comment block here so we have space. And now we have that fully under control. So now we have all the lights in the level, but we need to understand when to turn them on or off. So for that, we're going to make code that checks if it is day or night, or check when the sun is about to rise and when it's about to set. So the problem is with our day and night cycle is that our day and night cycle, every day that a day passes, the sun sets at a new position and rises at a new position, because it simulates how the sun changes like when it sets and rises every day of the year. So how would we know when our sun is about to set and when our sun is about to rise? Well, it's pretty simple. All we have to do is we have to go to the update date function over here, open that up. Actually, we don't want to go to the update date. We're going to go back to our event graph, and what we want to do is here at the update sun in the update pin, of our timeline. We want to go ahead and open it up. And then here when we zoom in, there's this get sun position node, and then this breaks out into sun position data. And now here we have a sunrise time and a sunset time. So all we have to do is go ahead and type get hours, and you're going to see there's a get hours and get total hours. You want to use get total hours. And then you want to just go ahead and copy and paste this, because we're also going to connect the sunset time to this. Now, what's the reason for doing this? Well, the thing is that if we convert to floats, our math is going to be way easier because our time is also currently in a float. So all we have to do now is save these variables. So we're gonna drag off this return value of the get total hours and promote it to a variable. We're going to call this variable sunrise time. Okay, and we're going to drag off this get total hours at the bottom, promote to a variable, not a local variable, and we're going to call this sunset time. Okay, and all we have to do is set these. So I think I'm going to select all the code over here to the side and move them on a bit so we have space. I'm just going to move the get total hours back, and all I have to do is take the sunset and the sunrise and just set them from the get sun position. So if we do this, now we set these variables, and now we know when the sun is about to set and when the sun is about to rise. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on the sunrise time here in the bottom left under my blueprints. I'm going to set it to private, and I'm also going to set the category from default to time, and I'm also going to do that to the sunset time. So category from default to time and set it to private over here, and we can compile and save, and now we know when the sun's about to rise and the sun is about to set. Okay, so now we can go back to our event graph. And now here we need to do a check to see if we should turn our lights on or off. So all we have to do is we have to drag our sunrise time in here and use get sunrise time, and drag in our sunset time and use get sunset time. And we can right click and type in range float. And what this node does is it's kind of like a boolean, or it returns a boolean. And all it does is it checks that the time is currently between two values. So in the minimum, you want to connect your sunrise, and in the max here, you want to connect your sunset, and the value will be the current time. So we're going to go to the bottom left under my blueprint and get our solar time and use get solar time. And we're going to plug that into the value. And now if our solar time is between these two values, it means that it is day. So if that is true, then the light should be off. But I'm going to actually drag off the return value and type in not boolean, because I want to invert that. That's just a bit easier to understand for me, but that's totally your choice. Okay, so now if this is true, then the light should be on. If this is false, the light should be off. Awesome. Now, how do we set that up? Because the problem is, right, if we set in the update node over here and we do a check constantly, that's going to get quite expensive, because the update in the day-night cycle timeline gets called quite a lot. So it would be preferable to rather set this in a separate timer so we can control how much this updates. Because like I said, the update here would be too expensive. So let's go ahead and move this down over here in its own section. And just before we call the day and night cycle timeline, we're going to select all of this and make a bit of space. So over here should be fine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag off the set play rate and type in sequence. Actually, if you hold S on your keyboard and left click, you actually make a sequence node. So that's just a shortcut. And we're going to drag our set play rate into the beginning of the sequence, and then our then into the 0, and our then 1 we're going to add to what is it called? Practically it's a timer. So what it will do is it will call this code on a specific time frame, so we don't bore update with too many calls and stuff. So we're going to drag off then1 and type in timer. So set timer by event, I think will be a good one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to drag off this event pin from the set timer by event, and we're going to type in custom event, and we're going to add a custom event. We're going to call this event check if light should be on or off. Okay, so this will run a check every few seconds to check if the light should be on or off. Okay, great. So now what we can do is we can go ahead and off this not boolean, we can do a branch node. If you hold B on your keyboard and left click, you make a branch node, and we connect the knot into the branch, and we connect the branch into the check if light should be on or off custom event. We're going to expand this comment block, and we're going to move this code down here. And like I said, if this is true, the light should be on. If it is false, the light should be off. Okay, so how do we do this? It's pretty simple. We're going to, where is it? We're going to get all lights and level. So we're going to drag off the all lights and level in the bottom left and use a get all lights and level. We're going to drag off that and do a for each loop. So practically it will loop through every single actor in this array, and then we can run code specifically for that actor. So for that, we're going to drag off the true value and connect that to the execute. And we're also going to go ahead and copy both of these nodes over again, because it will be the same setup, just now with the false. Okay, and actually, no, we can actually make this way simpler. We don't need this branch node. All we need is one of these for each loops. And what we're going to do is on the array element, we're just going to turn on or off the lights depending on what's needed. So let's drag off the array of element and type in turn on. So you can see there's a turn on off lights message. Just add that, connect your loop body into the beginning of that, and connect your execute into the beginning of the check if light should be on or off. And what about this not boolean? Well, we can actually go ahead and move this code down below here, and then we can connect this to turn lights on or off. And this just simplifies our code. Awesome. Now, I think actually I'm going to make a bit more space. So I'm going to drag out my comment block, move the sequence, and move this custom event on here. Okay, now we need to set up our timer because our timer is configured incorrectly. So the first thing that needs to be on is looping. It needs to run this code every single time. It doesn't need to end. And this time is how fast you want this to update. Now this is actually depending on the speed of your day and night cycle. So if your day and night cycle is pretty long, I'd say maybe like 5 minutes or something, then you can raise this time, right? I'm just gonna press cancel on the autosave. Then you can raise this time, but if your day-night cycle is very quick, then you have to lower this time. For about let's say a 5 minute one, I'd say a check every 5 seconds is good, so you can set this time to 5. But for me, I'm gonna quickly test this, so I'm gonna use 0.1. Okay, and we can compile and save. And now we have a way to turn the lights on and off, but we aren't actually turning on or off lights because we don't have any lights to interact with. So let's go ahead and make lights to interact with. We're going to go back to our first person map. We're going to open up our content browser, right click, create a new blueprint class. It's going to be of type actor. And we're going to call this BP_light. So this means that this blueprint will actually be the light that turns on and off. We're going to go ahead and open it up. We're going to go to BP lights, open it up, and we're going to go to top left under components, click add, and type in light. Now you can use any light. I would not recommend the directional light, but you can use any of these lights except skylight as well. Use a point rect light or spotlight. I'm going to be using a point light, and I'm going to compile and save, and I'm going to go to my event graph, and now we need to use our blueprint interface with this light. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to top left under class settings, and on the bottom right we're going to go to interfaces and add our new interface. We're going to type in BPI is light, and now here in the bottom left you'll see interfaces, turn on or off light. We're going to right click and implement event, and so we'll call code depending on what is needed here. So this is pretty easy to do. All you have to do is you go to the top left, you drag in your point light here, you drag off that and set visibility, okay? And all you have to do is connect the turn light on into the new visibility, okay? So that means now the light will turn on and off depending on when it should. We can go ahead and compile and save, and let's test our theory. So we're going to go to our map, we're going to drag our BP is light in here somewhere. So I'm going to move one in here, I'm going to move one in here, and let's see if it works. So if I hit play, you can see the lights are going, so let's see what happens when the sun starts to set. Okay, and the sun is starting to set, and you see the lights actually turn off. Let's see when the sun is about to set again. I meant the previous was rise, but let's see when it sets. So here it's about to set, and it's going, and boom, the lights turn on. Okay, so we have that sorted, but the thing is that what if you want to change materials? So the thing is, right, that sometimes you have emissive materials that light stuff up, and you also want to make them brighter when they need to be bright, because that's kind of needed, right? So how would you do materials? Well, that's pretty easy to do. All you want to do is you want to open up your content browser, right click, go to material, and you're going to find material parameter collection. You just want to click on that, and we're going to call this MPC for material parameter collection underscore is light. So then we can go ahead and open it up, and what this is it's practically like an input for your material, but it can be called from anywhere, and it actually works with any asset using this. So I can update every single light in the level by calling this once. It's like a shared input. So we're going to go to under scalar parameters, click on plus to added element. We're going to press down on this index to like make it bigger. This parameter name we're going to call light level. And the default value, I think, should be 1, but it doesn't matter. If it's 1, your lights will be on. If it's 0, your lights will be off. So we're going to press save on that. And all we have to do is go to our BP day-night cycle. And we're going to drag off turn, actually we don't want to do that. Before we even turn on and off the lights, we want to actually set the material here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of this code over here and move it on to the right. And what you want to do is you want to drag off the check if light should be on or off, and then type set scalar parameter value. You don't want any other thing, it should just be set scalar parameter value. And now we can feed our collection in here, so we do select asset, and then the parameter name here, we just want to set that to light level, and this parameter value is dependent on a bool. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in select. So select, not select like that. We're going to do a select float. And what we want to do is we want to do the same calculation we did over here. So all we're going to do is we're going to select both of these, copy and paste them, and connect them into the pick A over here. And then we're going to connect this to the return value. So if this is true, aka it is A, this value should be set to 1, and if it's B, this should be set to 0. Awesome. So now we have some way to set the light level of materials. Now, how do we actually make a material compatible with that? Well, we can just press compile and save. We can go back to our first person map, and let's say we'll take one of our cubes over here and add a emissive material to it. We're going to open up a content browser, right click, create a new material. It's going to be called M underscore light. And we're going to go ahead and open it up. And then what you want to do is you want to open up your content browser, drag in your MPC is light, okay? And then under the bottom left, under details, you want to change the parameter name from none to light level, okay? And all we have to do is we can just plug that into the emissive color for now. You can, of course, if this value is 0, the light is off. If this value is 1, the light is on. So you can make your material compatible with that. Anyway, we can apply and save. Let's see what happens if I go ahead and add this to a cube. So I'm going to drag our M is light onto a cube, and if I hit play, you'll see the cube is lit up, but when the sun is about to rise, or the moon, the moon's about to set and the sun's about to rise, this material should turn off. As you can see, that works. So let's see when the sun actually sets. And the sun's about to set, so let's see if this works. It should turn on, and it does. Okay, so that's everything sorted. There's one thing I need to talk about still. Our day and night cycle goes very quickly. So if you didn't know, if you go to your outliner here in the top right, you go to your BP day night cycle and you scroll down till you find total day night time. If you set this value to something like 20, it will go on for 20 minutes. Just keep that in mind. Also, one thing more, if you are going to set the time to 20, I'd say going to your BP day night cycle and setting this time to something like 20 is good enough. Remember, all this does is this is the interval which we check if the light should be on or off. So the lower this value is, the more updated it is. But if your day-night cycle's going on for so long, you don't need low values. So I think a golden rule is saying this to the amount of minutes your day and night cycle is. So actually, let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go to our time over here and we'll get our total day-night time and plug that into the time variable. And now this timer will scale based on what it needs. Okay, and that's all the code sorted. I think I'm going to just select all of these here in the top left and move them to make more space. And then I'm going to expand this comment block and just move all of this into the comment block. So I'm just gonna compress that one over there, compress that over there. And yeah, this is our code fully done. I think this is the last of the day and night cycle. We have everything we need. Actually, wait, one more thing. You might not maybe like the solar time, the sunset time and the sunrise time. Maybe you want the lights to turn on later or turn on earlier. And for that, all you have to do is in the in-range float, here where that is, you just want to drag off this, and then you want to drag off the sunrise time, do a plus. So this is how many hours later you want the sun time to rise. Or you can drag off the sunset time and do a minus or subtract. And this is how early in hours you want the light to turn on. So if I set this to 5, the lights will turn on 5 hours earlier. Now, for me, I'm not really too worried about it. It feels nice for me, but that's just if you wanted to know that. Anyway, we can compile and save. And that's the fully completed project, guys. Thanks for watching. If you liked the content, please subscribe. Hit like if you liked the video. Hit dislike if you didn't. And see you guys in the next one. Good night, everybody.